Well, good morning, everyone. It gives me great pleasure to welcome everyone to the first national event for the Strong, Prosperous, and Resilient Communities Challenge, or SPARCC. I feel that way too. SPARCC is a 3-year, $90 million initiative to ensure that the way we build our places benefits everyone. My name is Brian Prater, and I'm with the Low Income Investment Fund, one of the implementing partners of SPARCC. On behalf of everyone involved in SPARCC, I want to thank you for coming out today to share this day. We are very pleased to be at the Schomburg Center in New York City, which is a National Historic Landmark. For more than 90 years, the center has collected critical documents and materials and offered educational programs and fellowships to advance people's understanding of the global Black experience. Before we get started with the program today, I would like to acknowledge some of the key partners in our work. First, I would like to introduce the other implementing partners. They are Enterprise Community Partners, the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco, the Natural Resources Defense Council, and of course, LIF, where I work. Secondly, all of the partners would like to say a special thank you to all of our funders who spent a considerable amount of time with us co-creating this initiative. The funders are the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, the Ford Foundation, the Kresge Foundation, the JPB Foundation, and the California Endowment. Finally, I would like to extend a very warm welcome and recognize the teams from the 6 regions from around the country who will be our partners in this work for the next 3 years. Those regions are Atlanta, the Bay Area, Chicago, Denver, Los Angeles, and Memphis. How about a round of applause for them? So we have a very full agenda today. You'll hear from each of the 6 sites that I just mentioned, and we have 3 great panels that are going to explore the intersection of racial equity, health, and climate change. But first, to introduce you to SPARCC, the partners and sites have created a brief video that shares what brought us together, why we think it's so important at this point in time, and what we're going to be doing for the next 3 years. Our goal in SPARCC is to support our site partners in their quest to change their places, but also to influence how we as a country think about this work, squarely putting equity and race in the center of all that we do. The video, please. Roll it.
We believe that place matters, that it's a fundamental building block for healthy.
We had a bold opportunity to do things differently.
We have to look at decision-making through the 3 lenses of equity, climate, and health.
We need to know that we're making a difference. We need to know that
now is a time where national level conversation and organizing is crucial.
How can we change the tide, and how can we build a strong community once again?
SPARCC is a collaboration among very unique partners to show that when we invest in our communities, we can ensure that everyone is thriving.
We, as partners, had seen a lot of great collaborative work, and we felt it was a type of work that we would really want to elevate.
SPARCC shows the community that somebody else is thinking about the same problems that we're thinking about and thinking about it on a bigger level, giving us a platform to be able to go and make big changes.
SPARCC is bringing together the different components that people interact with on a daily basis in order to really strengthen the whole ecosystem and have the supports that people need to thrive.
We couldn't leave communities, especially regions with plans developed, and have them sit on a shelf. So we knew we could be part of that opportunity to get those plans off the shelf and move them forward.
In many of these communities, they've been doing this work for years, but with limited resources, limited access to dollars. And this is a 3-year, $90 million initiative looking at systems change across the country.
We have infrastructure that's a huge asset. Many regions would die for our transit system, but it's very stark to see that, particularly in communities of color, we haven't seen development happen. Then in communities where development's happening, it's rapid and gentrification is happening. And so getting ahead of that and figuring out how to ensure that people are able to take advantage of something that connects them. If we don't capture this moment in time, it could easily go away.
Denver has a goal to reduce climate change, and there's all different kinds of people that are working together on these goals. How do we bring renewable energy and accessible energy to new communities? How do we ensure that people can afford energy and that they have access to all the programs that are being created? We've been looking at this not just as an energy issue, but a housing issue, a health issue, and a community issue. And when you have everybody at the table talking about it, that's where we've seen the most success.
We have 2 Atlantas right now, and it's been 2 Atlantas for quite a while. Benefits are happening for people that are living along the Beltline and people that are in the city of Atlanta. We're seeing an economic boom. We need to make sure that boom has a balance to it, that it has equity, that we can, pivot some of that towards the areas that need it the most. If we don't do anything about it now, it's going to continue to fester.
Here in the Bay Area, as in many places around the country, we're actually seeing significant housing crisis. Over the years, we have fought to strengthen eviction protection, we fought to strengthen rent stabilization for low-income people, and these are the policy solutions that we feel are incredibly important, because the solution is not just to help individual families, but to help big groups of folks.
North Memphis is a poverty-stricken area. Senior citizens have to make a choice between food or the medication. Also, you have children that have asthma because they're living in molded houses. If we're going to be a community about all people, that needs to change.
LA is at a crossroads right now. We're getting our transit built out, a lot of new development is coming in, and we have a choice to make. Develop the city for the higher income population, or prioritize solutions so that development can be for everyone.
SPARCC is changing the way that we think about community development. It is once and for all moving us to a place where our work is community informed and community driven.
By re-envisioning how to think about the decisions and the investments that go into a place, we can begin to reduce the growing gap around inequality.
We need to address the way that we build in our communities. And SPARCC is really the right set of solutions for today's problems.
I love that video. Good morning, everyone. I'm Shelley Potisha. I'm with the Natural Resources Defense Council, where I lead the Urban Solutions Program. And I am really pleased to be bringing the environmental community to the places that we all live. Our commitment to strong and just and resilient communities is unwavering, and it is a big priority for us. I'd like to now introduce Dr. Risa Levizo-Moret, President and CEO of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. Risa is widely recognized as one of the most important thought leaders today, helping us to really see that building a culture of health in America is essential to improving all lives. Her leadership at the foundation, through research and partnerships and investing in solutions, has helped us see that your zip code is more important than your genetic code in determining your health outcomes. And that is really transformative. The culture of health framing that she has lifted up has shifted the way we think about how we build healthier, more equitable places, and it laid the groundwork for SPARCC. Dr. Lavisa Moret will be stepping down as president at the end of April, and we're going to miss her. That said, I know that she will we will help her carry her vision forward through SPARCC and through all of our work at the local level. Please welcome Risa to the stage.
Wow. And thank you, Shelley and Brian. It is really a delight to be here and to be able to welcome all of you to the start of this incredible initiative. We've got a full house, and it was hard to get people to come in and get started. That's how you know you've got a great program that's being kicked off. And I know that we not only have the people here in this room, but we have people who are live streaming in today. So it is an exciting time. And I couldn't help thinking, Brian, as you were reading off all the partners and funders who've been involved in SPARCC, what an incredible opportunity we have, and how impressive it is that we have so many organizations coming together to work on an important effort. This is not usual. It's very unusual. And therefore, for me, it's a real privilege to be joining forces with so many people and organizations that I really admire to do this work. And it's exciting that we're here doing this, co-creating something at this exciting moment. So I know we've already seen the 6 sites, but we've got to congratulate Atlanta and Denver and Chicago and Los Angeles and Memphis and the Bay Area for what they're doing. So join me in congratulating them. You know, these are the communities that are showing us how to work together so that everyone in their community can thrive. And over the next 3 years, we're going to continue to be inspired by their work, by their creativity, by their commitment to show all of us how to make our communities stronger, more prosperous, healthier, and of course, more resilient. Now, I know that this work is very meaningful to all of you, but I want to just give you a sense of what it means to me personally. I live in Philadelphia, and this is 30th Street Station. Any of you who ride the Northeast Corridor, as I do often, will recognize this as not only an iconic station, but as a place where people are developing it right before our very eyes to be a new transportation and residential and retail hub. Now, there's another train station in Philadelphia. This is the North Philadelphia train station. The train I rode to get here this morning literally sped by this station. And in its day, the North Philadelphia station was a critical part of the commuting hub in that area. It was a symbol of the prosperity of that area. And unlike 30th Street Station, which is booming, the once vibrant North Philadelphia station is struggling. The poverty rate around that area is a staggering 45%. And the life expectancy in that neighborhood is the lowest in Philadelphia. It's 20 years lower than the area right around the Liberty Bell. Now, the underuse and disinvestment in the neighborhood right around the North Philadelphia station is part of the reason that this station is the way it is. And when I ride past it all the time, I often hear the conductor say, "We're just going to pass it by." And sometimes I hear people joke that you don't want to get off in North Philadelphia. And I cringe knowing what that means for the neighborhood and for the people of that neighborhood. No city, Philadelphia or any other city, can be healthy and prosperous if we're willing to just pass whole neighborhoods by. Now, there's some good news. There are plans now to reinvest in the North Philadelphia station and to build up the housing and retail and manufacturing opportunities. And we know that if that happens, the people in that neighborhood will be healthier. And we should be able to do that. I mean, come on, the infrastructure is already there, right? But you know that redevelopment is more than investing in stores and buildings and housing. It's about people. It's about creating opportunities and hope for people. You heard the reference to zip code earlier. There's no reason why the zip code that someone lives in should determine their access to transportation or good jobs or health or open spaces to enjoy. SPARCC understands that. And if SPARCC is successful, everyone else is going to understand it too. They're going to understand that improving equity and health equity is a critical measure for the investments that we make in infrastructure and redevelopment all across the country. Now, we know that the 6 SPARCC communities are facing some of the most pressing problems that our nation faces. Poverty, lack of safe and affordable housing, transportation, brownfields. And we also know that we're only going to solve this if we come together and work together across sectors, because we can't attack these kinds of challenges without doing it. Now, a few years ago, I had the opportunity to write an essay in a book called Investing in America's Communities, What Works? And I said, one day we're likely to look back and wonder why the health industry and community development were ever separate. And that's why I look out here and see all of you and am incredibly heartened by the fact that we not only have community development professionals here, we not only have people from the health community here, but we have so many other sectors. SPARCC is literally bringing together people who over the past few years have been informed by careful listening about what works and have realized that they are going to step up and demonstrate the courage to break out of the silos that we normally find ourselves in. Because now there's a growing awareness and a rapidly growing research field that demonstrates the connections between health and the many different sectors that influence it. So all of you, the partners, the Low Income Investment Fund, the Federal Reserve Bank from San Francisco, Enterprise, NRDC, you guys get it, and you're coming together. And you're teaching people that equity, climate preparedness is going to be a way that you will continue to differentiate how investment in infrastructure will be focused in the future. So I hope that this program will continue to drive the national conversation about what works in your communities and in all communities. Now, that's our logo. At the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, you know, we've been directing all of our work for the last few years towards a single vision of working alongside people like you to build a comprehensive, sustainable culture of health in America. And I know that you all understand what that means. You know that we mean it's more than simply not being sick, that it's recognizing that health really is an essential part of everything we do. It's the backbone, really, of our prosperity. It's the way we connect, and it's really the bedrock of a competitive and prosperous nation. But I'd like to just call out two core values that drive this vision and that I hope all of us will keep top of mind today as we start this work. The first is the critical importance of achieving health equity. No one knows better than me, a physician, that personal responsibility is a critical part of improving health. But we have to keep in mind that the choices people make depend on the choices that they have. And without access to the basics, good jobs, clean and safe places to live, healthy food, transportation, no hardworking person can make it and become healthy without this. They certainly can't thrive. And I'd also like to point out the importance of having a shared value on health. Health means a lot of things to people, and we use different language to talk about health and well-being, particularly when you bring together two different industries as we are today. But we all know that it is critically based on our neighborhoods, our families. It means prioritizing how we think about decisions for ourselves, for our families, how we think about decisions in public policy for communities and neighborhoods. And it means learning to speak a language that's a common language. When we first started coming together, people would hear the acronym CDC, and half of the people would think it's Centers for Disease Control, and the other would think, well, that's Community Development Corporation. So we've got to be mindful that we do speak different languages, and we're going to have to get beyond that if we're going to actually be able to strengthen our communities. So as you heard, I'm in my final weeks as CEO of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, and that's caused me to do a lot of reflecting on the lessons that I've learned over the last decade and a half of leading this organization and working with this incredible team of people. And as you embark on this effort, I'd like to just highlight one of those, and that's the importance of bringing together different kinds of partners and diverse partners. And when I look around the room and see the collection of people that we have here, I'm reminded of my favorite line from Hamilton. What are the odds that the gods would put us all in one spot? We have a purpose here. And that's why we've got doctors and bankers and philanthropists and environmentalists all coming together to focus on the well-being and equity of their communities. By joining forces, we really can get it done, and we can show that there are not only opportunities for upward mobility, but there are practical ways to get there. So it's been a privilege to be a part of this. I'm going to be watching this flower bloom, and as Alice Walker would say, bloom gloriously for all of us. But now, let's get to work.